Hey everyone, my name is Jeremy and I want to take you on a journey with me. I'm trying to manifest the tiny home of my dreams. I've uploaded a video already on what I wanted it to look like as far as the exterior, the interior, the loft, the bedroom, the bathroom, the whole nine yards. But as I have watched more and more videos on tiny homes, as I've looked at websites, as I have looked at the place that I live now and literally taken a tape measure and measured out how much space that I'm using, I'm finding that my needs are changing. And I wanted to update you on my progress. So let me go ahead and speak it and say it and let the universe hear it. I am manifesting the tiny home of my dreams. It feels good to be in a home that is mine, that I can say, I own this, I designed it, I crafted it, I decorated it. It's all me. And, it feels really good. Feeling is important. So thank you to Minimalist Tiny Homes and Liberation Tiny Homes. I've used the pictures and their websites to kind of figure out what I wanted, as well as their floor plans to figure out what I want in a tiny home. I'm probably leaning towards Minimalist Tiny Homes for the sheer fact that I have an intention of moving to Canada with my significant other, and they create their tiny homes with the environment in mind. And I feel they live in Canada, right? So they're going to know Canadian weather. So that's super important to me because I don't want to be cold at all. I'm from the South. So if you have watched the video on manifestation from me, you know that this slide or some of the pictures on this slide are very familiar. But for those of you that haven't watched the video, let me walk you through it. Really high level overview. So I believe you can speak things into existence, Jay-Z. He is the walking version of what he spoke, literally. He is living the life that he spoke into existence. I feel that everybody can do the same thing, regardless of where you're from, what you've done, the environment that you grew in, religion set aside. You can do exactly what it is that you want to do. As long as you have the right intention, you can do anything. So my intention is to stop taking up space. Or let me reverse that. I recognize that I'm not using a lot of space, and that means that I'm paying for stuff that I'm not using. I also want to reduce my footprint, and I also want to live a more minimalistic lifestyle, because I recognize the more material things that you have, the more clutter you have, the more difficult it is for one to operate in a place of clarity. And also, I'm wrapping up my first graduate degree and I have an intention of getting a second graduate degree. So I'm thinking of all the debt that I'm carrying, right? So how do I set myself up for success? So my intention is right. I'm not going to rush the process. I'd like to move into it this year, but I'm going to let life unfold the way that it will. So that way I can ensure that I get the tiny home at the right time. I don't want to get it before I'm ready for it. So if we look at the picture of Saturn, I always say that the rings of Saturn represent your boundary and your consistency. So for me, with this tiny home, every day, at least once a day, and sometimes even twice a day, I go into visualizing and manifesting and meditation. And I set a pattern of putting my phone on Do Not Disturb, so that way I can't get phone calls. And I do exactly what I'm preaching. I visualize, I manifest, I meditate on what the tiny home will look like, what it will feel like, what it will do for me, and just the entire experience of the tiny home that I want. You know that I talk about the importance of grounding exercises. Grounding exercises help with everything, and not just necessarily manifestation. It helps with stress management as well as anxiety. I do it on a daily basis just when I'm having normal conversations because it brings me present. If you don't know what grounding exercises are, look on my channel. It's simply allowing your senses to be the focal point, so that way you don't have that internal dialogue going on and you can be clear. And that's important because as I visualize the tiny home that I want, I need to be super specific and super clear and think about the implications of, okay, if I put this here or if I put this here, this is what I am going to be able to do and this is what I'm not going to be able to do. So I want it to be exactly as I see it and I must have clarity. You have to invoke the emotion of what it is that you want. I see myself being so happy with this tiny home. I see myself inviting friends and family members over and them being in love with the tiny home, encouraging them to maybe change some things about their lives. I see um, people wanting to do tours of the tiny home, doing their YouTube videos, as I've seen people do. I see people seeing this as an inspiration of changing their life for the better. It feels good to me to be able to own something. It feels good to be able to come to my own property that's in a safe space, that is enough space and exactly what I want. It feels good to be able to watch movies and not have to worry about the sound, because I love watching movies really loud. It feels good to be able to listen to music as loud as I want. It feels good to be able to get into the shower with the right pressure and the right temperature. It feels good to be able to lay in my bed and look up at the skylight. It feels really good to be in my tiny home, and it's everything that I want it to be. Feeling is so important. Notice that I felt in general, but specifically you will see that I know exactly what I want. Speak what you see until you see what you've said. Let me say that again. Speak what you see, seek until you see what you've said. That's super important. You got to speak it into existence. And I'm letting it go. I'm not going to obsess over it, because what I don't want to do is create the vibration of not having it, and then more of not having it comes back to me. No, it's already done, signed, sealed, and delivered. I'm already approved for it. I have more than enough money to be able to pay for it. I'm going to pay for it in advance. Everything is just going to work out the way that it should work out. I'm not even worried about it. Lessons learned. People and circumstances always come to you in the form of a disguised lesson. So, as an example, I'm in the process of looking for a different job. And in the event that I get a job where I'm making more money, the lesson disguised in that is, are you going to pay the same amount of rent that you have been paying for the past couple of years? Or are you going to minimize your life and prepare for the tiny home? You know, I could just not think before I act and just get whatever I want because I know I can afford it. No, I'm going to change what I'm doing. Also, is there something in my current circumstance that's preparing me to be able to have the conversations with the builders? Like, am I doing anything project management related that would prepare me to know exactly what to expect during the tiny home experience? Like, is project management a part of my job? Just as a random example. And if I don't recognize that as the disguised lesson, then when it comes to building the tiny home, then that's something that I miss out on. And then, of course, I have to prepare myself for the situation. So when the job comes where I am making a lot more money and I'm relocated to a different location via the company, I'm not going to go above what I've been spending. No, I'm going to reduce it. So I'm going to fit myself in that situation. I'm not going to go around the lesson, above the lesson, or under the lesson. I'm going to go through the lesson and apply what I've learned. I can do it. I have to do my part. I have to be mindful of my spending. I have to maintain this constant feeling of, I got it, it's already done. I have to make sure I'm saving. I have to keep my credit good. I have to be mindful of the debt that I might have to incur in between now and then. I have to walk around my house feeling as though I'm already in it. I have to have the conversation like it's already done. I have to do my part, because I can't just sit down one day, visualize, manifest, and meditate and say it's done and not do my part. That's not how life works. So these are the updates. I decided to do it this way so that way you can get a better idea of what the tiny home would look like. So I'm thinking 10 by 5 by at least 30 feet up to 35. So I had to think about what's important to me as I'm, considering the feeling of being in the tiny home, what feels right. So open space was important to me, especially because, like I said, I like to watch movies. I like to listen to music. So when you come into the tiny home, I want there to be a garage door to create that open space. So I moved the kitchen over here. You're going to have to step up into the kitchen, but that puts the kitchen out of the way. I'm not a big cooker, but my significant other is. And even with him being 6'5", if he has to step up into the kitchen because of the type of trailer that I want, it won't be an issue with him standing up. I want a fireplace and a TV mounted above the fireplace. I want a skylight and the stairs because I don't want a ladder. I want there to be kind of like a nook for the computer and some storage. And also a benefit of having the kitchen up high is when you're stepping up in the kitchen, you can create drawers or pull-out drawers that you can store space in. I want the loft, which is right above the bathroom, to have roof entry. So that way I can step onto the top of the tiny home. And then I want the bathroom to have a skylight on top of the, what's that thing called? The shower. That's super important. So that way 6'5" significant other would have no issue with being in the shower, right? I want stairs because with my mom coming, I don't want her to have to climb up a ladder. I don't want to climb up a ladder, to be honest with you. And then for the bedroom, I want there to be a skylight as well. So these were the updates. The difference really was that I had the kitchen right here and then the living room right here. But again, what's important to me is having open space, especially in the area that I'm going to be spending the most time, which is right here. So I hope that me walking you through an example of how to manifest via something that I actually want has helped you to be able to see how to manifest. And best of luck with anything that you are trying to manifest, because I do believe you can speak things into existence. Speak what you seek until you see what you've said. Have a great day.